While each email address that Home Depot shared with Meta was encoded so that it could not be read by individuals at Facebook, Meta employed an automated process that allowed it to match email addresses attached to individual Facebook accounts.
Okay, another Meta matter. The federal privacy commissioner says Home Depot shared customers' data with Facebook's parent company without their consent. So for a closer look at the implications of this and kind of how this works, we're joined live by cybersecurity and tech analyst Ritesh Kotak. Ritesh, good to have you on the program to talk about this today. You know, I've checked out a Home Depot before. You kind of enter your email in if you want your email or the receipt sort of sent to you rather than printed up at the time. Is that how they were getting your data? Was basically getting your email just by putting it in at that checkpoint?
That's exactly it. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone in and said, well, maybe an email receipt might make sense. It's paperless. It's good for the environment. I lose those pieces of paper all the time, and it just makes doing a return easier. So they ask you, do you want an e-receipt or do you want a paper receipt? And if you said e-receipt, what they were doing was collecting that information, and you would think as a reasonable individual that it was just for a receipt. No, they were literally taking that information and selling it to a third party and providing it to a third party. In this case, Meta, so Facebook.
And there's, again, we both experienced this. There's no prompt saying, do you agree to you having this shared or anything like that, right? It's just type it in for the receipt, and you think that's kind of it.
That's pretty much it, right? Now, what Home Depot and Meta claimed is that, we have it on our privacy policy and our terms of use. But like realistically, you're in a store. Are you going to go to their website, read the privacy policy, which is tucked away on the bottom of some page in font 8 in 8 font, or it's just not reasonable. And I think users are like, well, wait a second. I didn't consent to this.
Right. So how nefarious is this, if at all, Ritesh? I mean, an email just seems a little bit innocuous, but it kind of is, the front door these days to connecting with people.
It's not just an email address. It's so much more. It is your data, and your data is literally the new field. It has monetary value to it. So just think about it. You go into a Home Depot and you purchase an item and you sign up for an e-receipt. What does it know? It knows what you purchase. It knows when you purchase it, probably at what location you purchase it. Now you take that and you aggregate that information, and if Meta has it, well, now they know. Do you potentially live in a house? How many people? Do you garden? And they're able to hyper-target advertisement to individuals. So it's not just an email address, it's so much more, all the data that's connected to that address.
And Ritesh, this isn't the first time we've talked about Home Depot in terms of data. I don't know if it was a year ago, but at some point in the last several months, we talked about the fact that they had this, situation where they were hacked and hackers were able to get into access some of the data, the payment data of people. Does Home Depot seem to have a bigger problem here?
So those are two very separate incidents. The first one being nefarious in the sense that it was hackers that were able to potentially breach systems or through a third party. And in this one, this is Home Depot knowing exactly what they were doing, saying, okay, Meta, go ahead and take this information. The reason for that was offline conversion. So they wanted to know that if ads are targeted towards individuals, does that actually lead to somebody coming into a store and purchasing, and what are they purchasing? So they're two separate incidents, but I think what this does is your data is important, whether it be breached through nefarious purposes or through not obtaining consent in this case. I think we really need to look at data security, data privacy, and put users front and center. Consent is important, data is important, and our privacy is a fundamental right.
Okay, Ritesh, before I let you go, do we know sort of where, what started this? Was it Meta asking Home Depot for this information, or was it Home Depot offering it? The reason I'm asking that is you would think that if this is happening with Home Depot, it's potentially possible that other retailers are doing a similar thing.
Yeah, or a combination of both, right? Reaching out if you're doing ad spend and then working with platforms and vendors, working together to figure out, okay, how do I get the biggest bang for the buck without really thinking about the user and privacy front and center. I'm sure that there's probably other organizations that are now going to be saying, let's revisit our privacy policies. Let's make sure we obtain accurate consent and revisit exactly who has access to what data. Otherwise, we're going to be discussing this again.
Yeah, we probably will, regardless. All right, cybersecurity and tech analyst Ritesh Kotak. Always good to chat with you, Ritesh. Thank you.